Hello, fellow classmates. Welcome to our Google Slideshow presentation pertaining to the International Baccalaureate Examination Review for the higher level history subject, specifically on the subject of independence movements in India and South America from prescribed topic 8, Independence Movements 1800 to 2000 on the International Baccalaureate Curriculum, created by Brian Edward Moffat Jr. and James Flanagan for fellow students of Mr. Johnson's International Baccalaureate Higher Level European History class for seniors by Brian Moffat and James Flanagan.
Impractical Jokers! History Edition! Warning, the following program contains scenes of graphic stupidity among four lifelong friends who compete to embarrass each other.
What's up, boys? Today we're going to be reviewing information on the prescribed topic 8 for IB history, which happens to be independence movements 1800 to 2000. That's right, Joe. Specifically, we'll be covering the Latin American independence movement and the Indian independence movement and comparing and contrasting the two.
Additionally, we'll be looking at past examination questions and asking jokers to give a response. I'm Brian Quinn, AKAQ. Whoever has the best response gets a good old pat on the back, but the joker who gives a bad answer gets a thumb down. Who will be tonight's biggest loser? And guess what? Joker versus Joker challenge. India and Gandhi. MURR and Sal versus Simone Bolivar and South America. Challenge 1. Leaders of movements.
So, Sal, tell me, who was Simon Bolivar?
Well, MURR, I'll tell you all about him on the next slide. But in short, he was the leader of the independence movement that Latin American countries had against Spain. Latin America! Look, MURR, I actually wrote a screenplay about Bolivar's upbringing. You can check it out here. https://docs.google.com/document/d1/USB equals sharing. Influenced by European philosophy, Bolivar took matters into his own hands and assisted Latin America in its military endeavors for independence, first in Venezuela. Bolivar eventually helped guide and inspire many nations to independence, making him a vastly important figure in this movement. Case Study 2, India and Gandhi. So, Mr. Gatto, who is Mahatma Gandhi and why is he so important?
Good question, Q. Gandhi was a major figure in the independence movement. Initially a lawyer, received the Western education. Gandhi would go to spearhead the major independence movements, such as the Quit India movement, always with the major tenet of nonviolence and civil disobedience.
Question time! Here we go, MURR versus Joe. Successful independence movements were dependent on skillful and persuasive leaders. Discuss with reference to two independence movements.
MURR! Well, Joe, I don't think either leader had a major impact on the movement. I really think it would have been successful without them.
Wrong.
Actually, James Murray, though the two leaders had very different methodology, it can be argued that they were incredibly effective in organizing and directing revolutionary sentiment. Bolivar had an effective military strategist, exemplified by the Battle of Boyaca, and an inspirational speaker that rallied the masses. And Gandhi's nonviolent measures, such as the Salt March and the Quit India movement, were very effective in drawing international attention and putting pressure on the British.
Ding ding! Ding 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 ding! MURR versus Sal versus Q and Joe. Challenge number 2. Origins of movements.
But Sal, how did this movement start? Bolivar couldn't have done it all on his own.
Well, MURR, a major factor was the class system and abuse of indigenous people by the Spanish rulers. I've prepared a helpful infographic on the next slide.
Wow, Sal. Very informative.
You're welcome, buddy. As you can see, the Spaniards who were born in Spain itself had the most power. Even people of full Spanish ancestry who were born in South America were oppressed despite the high social standing, including being barred from office, which caused anger among powerful people. Lower classes were angry for more obvious reasons of being enslaved and whatnot, period. Smaller riots began to start in the late 1700s but were effectively put down until Napoleon Bonaparte conquered Spain and weakened its power on the colonies, setting the stage for the independence movement.
Fascinating. So one could say that the revolution was largely caused by external factors.
That's right, Murray. Additionally, Bolivar spent a lot of time in Europe learning about new political ideas that helped him inspire the revolution. So lots of external factors caused the independence movement, with some help from internal factors.
Alright, smart guy Joey Gats, riddle me these. What got the spirit of independence going in India? Where did it all start, buddy?
Prepare to be educated, Q. Early anti-British revolts often took the form of short-lived and violent uprisings that occurred as the result of disparity between British and Indian customs. In addition, there was a clear wealth disparity prior to the 20th century and onwards that separated the British from the native Indians economically as well. Though there were earlier rebellions against the British, an important source of independence fervor came from the establishment of the Indian National Congress in 1895, serving as a way for nationalistic sentiments to be organized in the form of limited self-government. These desires for more independence grew up in the outbreak of World War I, when many Indian people were conscripted to fight in European wars, leading many to feel as though they were being exploited by the British for their usefulness.
Question time. Alright, fellas. Which movement do you believe was more so a result of external factors as opposed to internal?
India? You know, the whole World War thing.
Counter! That's a good point, Joe. But nationalistic sentiment had been growing in India for decades prior, and events such as the abdication of the Spanish king as well as the adoption of Enlightenment philosophies seemed to me to be more significant external factors that prompted independence.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah, ding ding ding, yeah. Easy dub, bro. Easy dub.
MURR versus Sal versus Q and Joe. Challenge number 3. Methods of independence. Bolivar's methods. Really? That was it?
Yep. Bolivar's European education really helped with military strategy. There was some politics and motivational speeches involved, but mostly just good old-fashioned war.
Case study 2.
All right then, smart fella. Why don't you tell me a bit about them?
We have to start over.
No, it's fine. Methods and means, and also the methodologies and means by which adjudicate independence.
Alright. Listen up. Gandhi and the subsequent movement during the 1920s was primarily centered on satyagraha, involving inflicting punishment on oneself as opposed to one's enemy. The movement following World War I placed an emphasis on nonviolent resistance that illustrated to the international community the injustice committed by the British. This resistance included non-cooperation campaigns, as well as boycotts of British goods and services. Gandhi instead focused on self-sufficiency, so as to decrease the economic usefulness of India to Britain. India was eventually promised independence in exchange for cooperating in World War II. Yet the Indian National Congress did not trust his promise and instead led the non-cooperative Quit India movement. However, the widely Muslim leader Muhammad Ali Jinnah accepted the British terms in exchange for a two-state solution.
Question time. Question mark.
Gentlemen, which nation used nonviolent methods in their struggle for independence? Easy question. Come on, guys. Come on.
Simón Bolivar.
No, you absolute fool. What would lead you to make such a preposterous conclusion? What possibly could have gone through your foolish head to lead you to that answer? Were you not the one who thoroughly investigated how the methods of Indian independence were deeply rooted in the principles of nonviolence? Mr. Quinn, I am disappointed to count you among one of my 4 lifelong friends who compete to embarrass each other. Clearly, it was the Indian independence movement that was based in nonviolence.
Oh.
Get nay-nayed. MURR and Sal versus QUINN and Joe. Challenge number 4. Results of independence.
After independence, the regions that Bolivar helped establish turned into 2 main nations, Grand Colombia and Bolivia.
So everything worked out?
No!
Oh. Bad jadra.
Bolivar's dreams of unified South America turned into disarray. The economy was greatly harmed by the war, leaving the lower class stranded as well as the wealthy continued to maintain control. Political differences and inexperienced leaders filled the government with turmoil, causing the Civil War to start in 1839. Prior to this, Grand Colombia had already dissolved in 1931, and Bolivar stepped down as president. Despite successfully achieving independence, Bolivar felt like a failure, as exemplified in the following quotes.
This country will fall inevitably into the hands of the unrestrained multitudes, and then into the hands of the tyrants so insignificant they will be almost imperceptible.
There have been 3 great idiots of history, Jesus Christ, Don Quixote, and myself.
Once we've been eaten alive by every crime and extinguished by ferocity, the Europeans won't even bother to conquer us. Damn.
Hey, pal, don't get yourself down over silly mistakes. I believe in you. Why don't you tell me about the results of independence in India?
Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Gatto. I'm proud to call you my silly buddy. Let me learn you a thing or two about them results. Here you go, Joe. There was quite a bit of positive and negative results of Indian independence. On the bright side, the newly independent government was able to improve education and healthcare, with the death rate decreasing and literacy rates increasing. Yet at the same time, living standards remained stagnant. Most of the negative effects occurred as a result of the partition of India and Pakistan, where the mass migration that occurred as a result caused significant economic disruption. In addition, religious violence between the two was common, especially without the peaceful guidance of Gandhi, who was assassinated shortly after India gained its independence.
Give a little quiz on my
Press
love.
escape to exit full screen. So, bros, which independence movement had more successful results?
Was it Latin America? Bolivar seemed pretty good at all that stuff.
You stinky dum-dum smooth brain fool! Clearly, India had more post-independence success, though it still did face many challenges. The situation in Latin America was quite grim after the dissolution of Grand Colombia.
Man. Oh, dang, darn. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah!
Ultimate.
Final.
IP. Question.
Get ready, boys.
Joker versus Joker. Joe versus MURR.
With reference to 2 independence movements, to what extent was violence an important method of achieving independence?
Cook up that thesis, MURR. You're going down, fool!
Are your answers prepared, gentlemen?
Yes, fellas, I like to start. You see, Bolivar's Latin American revolutions clearly indicated that violence as a means to attain independence had the propensity for success. Yet the Indian attainment of independence demonstrated it was by no means a necessity. So while bearing potent capability in certain revolutions, violence was not a given, nor was it necessary in all independence movements. And there is a great contrast between these two. Objection! I don't think I agree with you, Joseph Gatto. I believe both India and Latin America depended on the same level of violence to achieve their independence. Evidence? Oh, I might have to get back to you on that.
Oh, it's correct. Question mark, question. Oh, it was correct. It was correct. Suspense. Suspense. Joe!
Joe!
Ding, 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 ding. Uh-oh, with 2 wins, look like the MURR's tonight's big loser. All right, we are here at the peak of the stratosphere for MURR's punishment. Today, he will be jumping from our True TV McDonnell Douglas DCX prototype SSTO vehicle into the hungry maw of the volcano Krakatoa. Ready, Murray?
Rest in peace, James Murray, the least practical of jokers. May 1st, 1976 to April 21st, 2021. The candle that burns twice as bright lasts only half as long. Nikita Khrushchev.
Ow, stop it, ow.
Okay, guys, Murray died. I think we covered most of the info. See you next time.
Don't tell the fans what we did to MURR, or else you're next.
Bye-bye.